He's a really useful engine, you know. All the other engines, they'll tell you so. He huffs and puffs and whistles, rushing to and fro. He's the really useful engine we adore. He's a really useful engine, you know. 'Cause the Fat Controller, he told him so. Now he's got a branch line to call his very own. He's the really useful engine we adore. He's the one, he's the number one. Thomas the Tank Engine. He's the really useful engine we adore.
Thomas was very proud of his branch line. Every day he passed up and down with his two coaches and a clam block. He's always looking forward to something special.
The river. As he rumbled over the bridge, he would see people fishing down below. He often wanted to stay and watch, but his driver said no. What if the Fat Controller would say if we were late? Thomas still thought it would be lovely to stop by the river and do some fishing. Every time Thomas met another engine, he would say, "I want to fish." But they all had the same answer. "Engines don't go fishing!" Silly stick in the mud, thought Thomas. One day, Thomas stopped at his usual to stop to take in water at the station by the river. Then he saw a big painted notice. It read, "Out of order? Bother," said Thomas. Thomas was very thirsty. The driver had an idea. They could get some water from the river. "Never mind, Thomas. We can get some water at the river." And Thomas puffed away. Then the driver let the bucket down into the water. The bucket was old and had 5 holes, so they had to fill it up, pull it up, and empty it into Thomas's tank quickly as they could, again and again and again. At last they were finished. That's good, puffed Thomas as he started off again, with Annie and Cloudball running happily behind. Suddenly, Thomas began to feel a pain in his boiler. Steam began to hiss from his safety valve in an alarming way. "There's too much steam!" "Oh dear," he groaned. "I'm gonna burst! Ooh!" They damped down his fire and struggled on. I got such a pain, Thomas hissed. They stopped outside the last station and Annie and Clover were uncoupled. The driver ran Thomas onto a siding out of the way. He was still hissing fit to burst. Then the guard telephoned for an engine inspector, and the driver found 2 notices. They were written in large black letters and read, "Danger! Keep away!" Soon the inspector and the Fat Controller arrived. "Cheer up, Thomas," they said. "We'll soon have you back on." The driver told them what had happened. The engine inspector thought that the trouble must be the fuel pipe. The inspector climbed up to have a look. He peered in, and then he came down. "Excuse me, sir," he said. "Please look in the tank and tell me what you see." So the Fat Controller climbed up, looked in, and nearly fell off in surprise. "Inspector," he whispered, Can you see fish? Gracious goodness me! How did the fish get there, driver? Asked the inspector. We must have been fishing them out of the river with our buckets, said Thomas's driver. Well, Thomas, so you and your driver have been fishing, but fish don't suit you. We must get them out, said the Fat Controller. They took turns fishing in Thomas's tank. The Fat Controller looked on and told them what to do with it. When they had caught all the fish, they had a lovely picnic of supper of fish and chips. That was good, said the Fat Controller, as he finished off his share. But fish don't shoot you, Thomas, so you mustn't do it again. No, sir, I won't, sir, said Thomas sadly. Engines don't go fishing, it's too uncomfortable.